Hey Slashers, this is George over at Hypno Comics, and I'm here with Jon Bogdanove,
hello.
Legendary Superman artist and the creator of Strongman. So we're going to sign some books and have some fun, talk with some fans, our regulars here. Look at them all waiting to meet them, so let's get this party started.
Nice to meet you too. Sure. Signature only, or do you, or dedication?
Just signature.
You bet. Yeah, this is a great shop, actually. I keep seeing stuff like I want to buy.
So, John,
yes,
over
sir.
your career, you've seen a lot of comic book stores, a lot of comic book shops. So, tell me about the evolution as you're signing here. The
evolution of comic book shops?
Yeah. What have you seen come, go? I mean, there's the stereotypical old dusty, crappy.
I mean, when I was a kid, of course, I got my comic books off the spinner rack at the 7-Eleven. And the closest thing we had to a comic book shop was the thrift store downtown, which had boxes of comics, and I used to pick up like old Gold Key and some Little Lulu and some great Tom Gill Lone Rangers and stuff like that from the box where everything. Where everything smelled like old clothes, And I think, didn't comic shops really get their start when, didn't they really sort of take off when the companies sort of gave up on standard newsstand distribution, and Steve Jeppe, Diamond Distributors, kind of became the sole distributor, the monopolizer in the distribution of comics. And that, I think, was the boon for, the golden age for comic shops, because they became, that specialty shops were the only outlet for comics. And it, created a boom in the 90s. Yay for us. Which we helped promote, I think. I don't know, the ideal comic shop to me is a lot like this one, in that it's a neighborhood joint where you don't just go and buy a comic book, but you kind of go and hang out. You meet the rest of your tribe. You realize that you're not alone in your obsessions. You know what I mean? And it's just it's a good place to hang out with your fellow geeks and nerd out, right? Yeah. And I love doing store gigs because I both love it and hate it, because I'm always seeing stuff like, ooh, I want that. Ooh, I didn't know that was out. Ooh, when did that come out in trade paperback? So it's always bad news from that standpoint, because I end up getting more stuff. But it's nice also. It's nice when we can sit and talk like we're doing now, and it's not like, and there's not acres and acres of people just waiting in line for 3 hours and you have handlers saying, just sign, don't talk, just sign. So this is better. This is nice from that standpoint. Nice to have a neighborhood joint.
Right,
yeah. What do you think of Hypno?
I love it. I love it. I love the space. I love the location. I love that you can step outside and smell the ocean. And that's awesome. Ventura is a nice little town for that. I really like that. And he's got the performance space back here with comedians like Sax Carr and Tim Powers coming in, plugging Sax Carr and Tim Powers of Phantom Planet. No, it's a nice place. It's a nice place. Yeah. Do you live here in town?
Yeah, I live part of town.
So it's not exactly like you can hop on your bike and ride here.
10-15 minutes away.
Because I like this. I like the kind of store where you can hop on your Stingray bike.
Oh yeah.
And just
head over there.
Yep. That's right.
There was one in town. They moved. It was a month of hell. Make business. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Sad to see them go.
Well, they're not. I guess they're not selling comics at the rate they once were. The business has ups and downs, and unfortunately, when the business has ups and downs, it takes out the smaller stores oftentimes, and that's sad in a way, because oftentimes the smaller stores are the most fun.
Right.
You know, because I was when I first started drawing him, I was drawing him with a realistic-looking mustache, and Kal-El said, "No, no, no, no.
More mustache.
More testosterone in that mustache. That mustache has to be off the hook." And it turns out he's right. People on the internet are just drawing this character like crazy.
It's his S, man.
It's his S.
Yeah.
It is.
Right, yeah.
It's also, I like it because when I'm drawing him, it's an expressive tool. You know, so you can you sort of convey his mood with his mustache, whether he's happy or serious or whatever. He smiles real well with it. So it's turned out to be just a real good thing from just a drawing standpoint. It's been a real good design characteristic. So we like it. Yep. The mustache is back.
Well, everybody in baseball has a beard, so let's bring back the mustache.
That's right. That's right. Notice they have more beards though the later into the season you go. I think it's one of those things like, I'm not going to shave. I'm not going to wash my socks. You know.
Superstition.
Superstition, right?
Sure, it's not steroids. Starting to kick
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah, the steroids are kicking in.
Yeah, it happens overnight.
Happens overnight. You bet.
And tell me about the strongman over here.
Sure.
I'm interested.
One of those guys. So he's a 1920s circus athlete who doubles as a pulp hero, kind of in the vein of like Doc Savage. And he's got a crew of
San Diego?
lovable circus freaks,
I don't know if I'm
sideshow
gonna pass it or not,
we're like a proto X-Men.
The way we got
Yeah.
in,
And they travel around
front of the art
and
show.
they stand up
runs
for
an art
the,
show,
for the
so
meek and
I can't. It's not a
scrapes
guarantee.
and,
I'm gonna
there's a
try.
bit of all kinds of different things that we like. There's a touch of, Boardwalk Empire, crime drama. There's a bit of H.P. Lovecraft to it.
Oh, okay.
It's, of course, a little wrinkle of Superman as well.
That's true.
But
See, I worked it out.
based somewhat on the streets of actual circus strongmen of the period. Could do some pretty unbelievable stuff.
You know how Superman is vulnerable to magic?
Yeah.
Strongman is a little bit like the opposite of that. His normal everyday super deeds are basically the same super deeds that were done by literal real life vintage strongmen back in the day. So,
Like Louis Cyr and
yeah, Louis Cyr, Eugene Sandow, Mighty Atom. These are guys that could, lift 16 men on a railroad car on their back, or stop an airplane from taking off just by the strength of their backs. Some things which seem scientifically impossible, but which were documented back then. So he's tough. He's strong when it comes to like gangsters and crime and stuff like that. But he, in a sort of a twist, he's actually more powerful against magic, because
his power is from it's from his life force. It's from his chi.
right, when you talk to strongmen, or when you read about them, these seemingly superhuman feats of strength that real people have actually really done, it really sort of comes down to chi. It comes down to sort of almost a martial arts kind of focusing of the life force. So that's what strongman does, but. His ability to focus his life force actually has mystical import. So that when he's facing, a Lovecraftian elder god or something like that, it actually gives him an edge that he doesn't have against, say, a guy with a Tommy gun. So he's good against crime. He's even better against inhuman evil. See, I was way ahead of my time. I was already leaving places for people to sign.
The chin highlight.
The gigantic chin.
Signable chin.
Yes, that's why you drew the chin so big. To have a place to sign. It was my first power pack. Third comic book ever, right? Third comic book ever. First power pack. Labor of love. I'm glad you liked it. Man. I'm glad you liked it. So to who? How you doing?
Doing well, yourself?
Pretty well. Yeah.
It's actually a real pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. What's your name?
Jason.
Jason, can we put a dedication on any of these for anyone?
Let's go ahead and do 18, and if I remember correctly, Steel is your baby, right?
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and do that one as well.
All right. Jason?
We don't want to be in this more than one day. Because actually, what he told me was it went in shape off some.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is.
So what's the premise of Strongman?
So it's about a 1920s circus athlete who doubles as a pulp hero.
Oh,
He
interesting.
travels around with a troupe of lovable circus freaks.
Nice.
Like a cross between Louis Simonson's X-Men and Todd Browning's Freaks.
Gotcha.
Right,
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be
They
down
help
there.
people
Yeah.
out. They get in scrapes.
That's cool.
Adventures. It's good stuff.
That actually sounds like it'll be awesome.
Well, show people, let alone sideshow freaks, but show people in general were sort of outcasts of society back in the day, and yet they had unusual attributes and powers and abilities. So it kind of makes sense. And also the, Superman's costume is based on circus costumes,
Right,
strongmen, aerialists, and it just seemed like,
A natural fit.
well, yeah. Since I always wanted to do a period story,
Right.
So we've set it prior to 1938 because that's when Superman happened. So it's prior to any superhero stuff.
I know, that actually sounds really interesting. I will definitely be hitting this up.
Cool, man. Thank you.
It's like a combination of there's a lot of sort of Doc Savage-y type shadow, the shadow type pulp stuff. A bit of H.P. Lovecraft in there.
Oh,
so it's like a combination of pulp crime
cool.
and supernatural stuff.
Nice.
And it's the most fun of anything I've ever worked on,
That's cool.
including Superman and Power Pack.
Wow.
So I've worked on some good stuff. I've had some real fun, but this is the most fun.
And my mom used to actually read comics to me instead of like books for bedtime stories. And
I like your mom.
I had all of the Death of Superman stuff, ton of Marvel stuff, and my mom ended up having to remarry, and he was one of those like real anti-comic book, and he actually made me throw away.
Oh my God, that's horrible!
Yeah, everything like baked black trash, plastic bag. I couldn't give them away. I couldn't sell them. Had to go in the trash. And yeah, that was really sad. And my mom, she divorced. She started dating again. One of her boyfriends, I was talking to him. We were talking about comics, and he was like, "Oh, that's horrible. That's whatever." And one Christmas, he was like, "Merry Christmas," and I'm opening it up, and it's the whole Death of Superman run.
Oh, really?
His Death of Superman run.
Oh, that's cool.
And so this,
usually, because a lot of people have those stories of, I went away and mom threw throughout my Spider-Man #1 or whatever, and a lot of people have those stories of like losing their collections, but no one ever gets it back. That's awesome.
And this Death of Superman actually has so much meaning to me because of that. That it was like, he gave up his own collection for me, and that's why it's like meeting you today and being able to do this is just. I'm just like a 6-year-old girl type of thing. Like,
well, that is really cool. That's a great story.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it
very much.
For this in my collection, I couldn't find it. I ended up finding it in my garage, and then I saw that you weren't credited on the front. And I'm like, so I put it back, and then I come back later. I'm like, oh, he did the little.
So you just remembered that I did that?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's kind of a little overcolored, isn't it? And there's also a lot of, I didn't do borders in black originally.
It looks like a comic book to me, so I'm
but it's okay. It's all right. I love the character. I think Granny Goodness is one of the coolest villains ever.
Definitely a unique character.
I like to imagine it's like Roz's mom,
Oh, that's a good way.
Jack Kirby's mother-in-law or something like that.
Nice.
When you look at this face, don't you just get the feeling like this woman was somewhere in Jack's life? Anyway, one of the great characters. All right. Well, this is the first ever I've signed of this one.
Really?
Yeah.
You got a lot of black and silver in.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So, let's see. I I could do it like right here, maybe.
Sure.
All right, sure. I'm happy to. Ooh, wow! This is one I don't sign very often either. It's not the very first copy, but
Well, I had to get something Marvel because I'm a big Marvel.
I totally want to do more Hulk. Because there's a lot in this job that I really like, and there's some stuff that I would do differently, but there's also just, I just want to do more of this, you know?
Actually, if you did this guy right here, I would like have a heart attack.
I would love to do Spider-Man, but I would totally like get back to, you're too young, but back in the 70s, Gil Kane was penciling it, and John Romita was inking it, and Tony Mortallero was doing backgrounds, and it was sort of that whole period of the death of Gwen Stacy and stuff. Those comics are amazing if you ever get to see them.
I have Amazing Spider-Man 121 at home.
There's, I mean, I've always loved Spider-Man, but there's no run in Spider-Man where you get the dizzy feeling of vertigo of swinging on spiderweb like that particular run of it. It was I think Gil Kane's best work of his career, and it was like a combination of the greatest talents conceivable for that particular property. You know. Hello. Hey, how you doing?
I wanted to say, thanks for a great childhood.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
I knew for a long time.
It's not like I put you through college, man.
Yeah. It was a great memory. Superman I knew for a long time, and
thank you.
that's all I picked up for a long time.
Thank you very much.
He's a bit smaller.
If your last name is Kent, how can you not name your son Clark?
Well, his last name isn't Kent. His middle name's Kent. His last name's Keller, but it's still part of K.
That's very cool. You know, wasting that whole period in science class in 7th grade really paid off. I do like the coloring on this one, though. There you go. Do you want to personalize it all or just name?
Sure.
To who? Tell me what you wanted to say.
To eBay with love.
To eBay with love? Sure. Who just, she doesn't suit the whole frills and dress kind of thing. She wants to embrace her fuzzier nature.
Okay.
We like her.
Awesome.
She's our Wolverine.
Yeah, little 15-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, man, we're redeeming the mustache.
It's a manly mustache.
It's a manly mustache, or a manly hero. I think it's the mustache, man. I think they like drawing the mustache.
It's the one below the one on top.
Hi, Slicers. What's going on? Comic book goodness. That's what's happening.
Woohoo! Yeah.
First appearance of Psylocke. Look at that. Woot!
Yeah. I like it. I saw it. I was like, I better pick it up before somebody else does. I'll give it a home in my collection.
Strongman.